Hey guys, so as promised, here's sets 200 or 100 to 200. So we're finally getting into some interaction lengths here that are long enough to actually learn a little bit, but I have to admit, like, the average interaction length of these are like a minute and 10, a minute and 15. They weren't that long. So when I did this vlog here for the Frankie Balls Lifestyle Podcast or vlog, what I did to make sure that I was being very accurate with what to expect between approaches 100 and 200 using a structured approach, specifically a London DayGame model approach from approaches 100 to 200, is I looked at all of my videos from the pens that I have, my camera pens that I wear when I do my cold approaches in the malls and outside and everything, mostly in the malls because it's been cold I'm from Canada and it's been cold and is cold. And when I did all these approaches, it was winter time. So I looked at all the videos. I read all of my field reports, what I learned and everything, and I'm gonna try and like paint a little bit of a picture as to what I learned for 100 to 200, and I'm going to show, I think I have 3 or 4 clips I picked to kind of give you an idea what to expect for approaches 100 to 200, and then after I play every little bit of infield video from my camera pens, I'll stop the video at that point and give you a little bit of a rundown as to what was going on there, what happened, and where we were at for approaches 100 to 200 and what you have to look forward to if you're still in your first 100, which, you know, they say the first 1,000 sets of DayGame are, what do they call them, the sets of hell or something. So these are the worst. These are the worst sets, but I picked the 4 or 5 and I edited them out that were fairly realistic sets for 100 to 200, but I forget if I put 1 or 2 in there that were like pretty good sets for between 100 and 200 that were above average, where you probably even noticed if you've done any day game that you have some sets where your vibe is on, you had a good day, everything's working good, you had a few good sets already. So I included some of those in to give you some hope, but also a couple that were just extremely like normal, you know, like just this is what you have to expect. So without further ado, let's jump into the clips here. Here's clip number 1.
Like, I was kind of in my own world doing things for my own entertainment.
Yeah.
And people were like, fuck, I wish I could hang with this guy, but anytime I try to talk to him, it's kind of fucked up.
Excuse me. Hi. Hey, sorry, I know it's a little random to approach somebody in the mall, but I saw you coming down the escalator and I was like, fuck, you are hot. So I had to come and say hello. There's a lot of pressure on me now because I thought you were alone, but now I see there's 3 of you. But it looks like what I noticed about you was you're in your own little bubble. Like you just smoked some weed or finished meditating or something. I don't know what, but what is it that you are? I guess like a yoga teacher or something? You got a calm energy. 042? No, what are you guys up to?
Just shopping. Yeah.
Right on.
Gotta go.
Hopefully I made your day better. See you later.
Okay, I actually remember this set. It was a 3 set in the mall, and I opened the girl. I thought she was on her own because at that point I wasn't opening 3 sets, and she surprised me with her 2 friends being close by. So you can tell I was really like, I had my first minute or 2 down, and you can tell, as you're going to see, that it's mostly the same all the time. But what I did wrong there a little bit was I was just pounding through it, right? It was just like, excuse me, I saw you over there, and, you know, I wasn't taking her feedback very well. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's like when they were giving me feedback back, I wasn't really like adjusting my speed or my pitch or anything. At first they were pretty impressed, you know, as soon as I said you look fucking sexy, which, you know, later on I toned that down to you look attractive. you notice her face lit up right away, right? Like she had the smile on. She gave me a little bit, but I didn't get them to hook, right? So the big mistake in this set, what I learned from this set, and a lesson that a lot of people I think learn from sets 100 to 200 is as soon as you say, what are you up to right now, that's like an invitation for them to leave. Almost, I'd say 95% of the time, as soon as you say something along the lines of what are you up to right now, it's just like, we have to go, you know. And that's what you'll notice. She said that, and you know, like, it's easy to say that, it's easy to notice it, but as I watch through these videos from 100 to 200, I've probably done that like 8 times. Every time I say, what are you up to right now, I know exactly what that means. If it comes before they ask you a question or they hook in some way, I know they're going to leave, right? And so that's one of the things that I noticed in that. That's why it ended. I pretty much said, what are you up to right now? There was a lot of social pressure there, and she's like, oh, there's an easy break in the conversation where I can politely leave. We have to go, you know. I brought it up though, right? So at that point, what I needed to do was I needed to stay and say, oh, you're not a yoga instructor. Well, what is it that you do? Or maybe like lean to her friend or start talking to her friend. You seen in the left hand part of the frame, the black girl, and say, hey, you know what is it your friend does? So I thought she was a yoga teacher, but she looks a little, you know what I mean, like make another stack or something. She looks like Norwegian or something. Is that what she is? To bring her friend into it, because her friend looked like she would have been ready to help me out. But at that point, it's just like between 100 and 200, you just have to stick to your guns, and you're just trying to learn the model, and it sucks, and it takes way longer than it probably everybody thinks it should. And if you haven't done very many approaches when you're watching this video, you'll think that I'm like probably retarded because how slow I learn. But I've, you know, like, just be ready for that, you know. The adrenaline in your body, the social conditioning that you have, all those types of things is just, that's what's going to happen, man. It's harder than it looks. And I really, like, I feel for myself back in these videos. So that's kind of where it went. You could tell they gave me an extra point or two for approaching a 3 set though. You could tell that was there. Also, I'm 38. You know, in this video, I don't know, I never got her age, but I'm gonna guess I'm at least 15, maybe 20 years older than this chick. Well, hopefully not 20, but you know, probably 17 years older than her, and she's in good shape, and I'm always 40 pounds overweight. At least I definitely was doing these sets. So all my approaches though are that way. There's very few that are like below an 8. I'm not trying to game girls under an 8. You know, almost all the girls that I approach are under 25 probably, and like in really good shape. So okay, well that's kind of what you can expect a little bit for 100 to 200. Let's jump into the next one.
Excuse me. Hi. You know, it's a little weird to just stop somebody in the mall like this, but I saw you walk out of that store and I was like, wow, you are an attractive girl. So I had to stop you and say hello. Looks like you're in your own little world there.
I am. I'm on my
swiping
way to
right on Tinder. Going to meet your Tinder date. I'm teasing you.
Oh.
I must not be very good at it.
Oh, no, that's fair. I'm very
yeah. So what do we have here? I'm getting like open, friendly energy.
Oh,
yoga teacher, I'm gonna guess.
Pardon me?
Are you a yoga teacher? That's just the energy I'm reading here.
No, not at all.
I'm not doing very good over here, am I?
No, but I do have a boyfriend.
Do you?
I'm on my way to meet him.
Oh, yeah?
So sweet. I'm very flattered.
You have too white of teeth for having a boyfriend.
Oh, stop.
Hopefully I made your day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
See you later.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like probably the most extreme common thing, this interaction with this blonde girl here. A little older than usual for me, but I would say if you could go from 100 to 200 and compress it down into what you would expect in approaching girls on average, this is what it would be. Okay, so this blonde girl here, I went up, I did the open, I teased her about swiping right on Tinder. I wasn't calibrated enough to like let her understand that. You could see that she was like happy that I stopped, and then I accused her of swiping right on Tinder. That was supposed to be a tease, you know. I probably didn't smile or something. I was like, oh, I seen you swiping right on Tinder. You know, like that, because her reaction was like, what? Like, who are you to come up and tell me what I'm doing on my phone? That was kind of an off reaction. So, you know, probably I wasn't smiling would be my guess why she reacted that way. But at least, like, I'm getting to the point where it's like when she gave me that reaction, I could recalibrate and be like, oh, I'm teasing you. You know, like I realized that she wasn't, you know, that she wasn't like, she didn't get the joke kind of thing. And that was my fault, not her fault. So you're starting to get a little bit more social calibration there. And then the most common thing you're going to hear from 100 to 200 is I have a boyfriend, right? And I never at that stage had the ability to deliver a line. It was just, I think it's my social conditioning where it's just like, oh, you have a boyfriend? Immediately eject, right? And that's what I always did from 100 to 200. You know, like you should say, oh, I don't want to be your boyfriend, you know, and then just move on or ignore it. There's many different ways to attack the boyfriend thing, but that was so common from 100 to 200. Probably like, I'm going to say 7 or 8 out of 10 opens I probably did from 100 to 200 said they had a boyfriend. They probably, a lot of them probably didn't. It was just an easy way to like de-stress the situation. And for me, from 100 to 200, my specific social conditioning was to eject after that, right? So I remember I had in my notes a lot of times when it said they have a boyfriend, I tried to like stay in set even after I acknowledged it, because for whatever reason my mind just wouldn't click. It just wouldn't be like, I couldn't say the lines that I had pre-planned to say when they said that. And so I had to actually, in my notes, I had to take a step back, and instead of saying I don't want to be your boyfriend and ignoring it or something, I just had to acknowledge the boyfriend as an intermediate stage of my game, and then just try and talk. And so from 100 to 200 is like, oh yeah, I wondered, or I didn't see your ring or anything, but you know, and then say something else like, yeah, you just had really nice hair, you know, like, you know, it's cool that you have a boyfriend, but I just wanted to, you know, hopefully I made your day. Hopefully I made your day, or, you know, just say something after that, so that it wasn't like, just so that I got comfortable with talking to a girl that had a boyfriend, opposed to just be like, oh, you had a boyfriend, oh, all right, have a nice day. You know, that's what I was doing. And so that's 100 to 200. I was just trying to, like, as soon as I got the boyfriend line, just talk to them in any way possible. So I got comfortable just talking to girls that claimed they had a boyfriend. But that's, yeah, like I said, that's probably the most typical interaction from 100 to 200 that you could expect, was what you saw there. Usually the girls are starting to be, as long as your vibe's okay, they're usually like pretty cool with stopping and talking to you, but it's still like, it's, you know, 50 seconds, a minute interactions before they eject themselves. But usually they're smiling at this point now. I think I got 2 solid like fuck offs from 100 to 200. But for the most part, you know, approaches from, if you go out for 2 hours, approaches on the back half of that 2 hours, almost all of them are smiling. From approach 100 to 150, when I said, well, hopefully I made your day, they looked at me like, why the fuck would that make my day? From 150 to 200, it was like, oh yeah, you did make my day, right? So there, I started to, like, that change happened between 100 and 200. Yeah, from 0 to 100, when I said, hopefully I made your day, they'd look at me like with this look, like, what? Why would that make my day? You coming up to me with this stale energy and trying to leech off me? I was getting that. So by the end of the 200, I was like, hopefully I made your day. And at least 1 out of 2 would say, oh yeah, you totally did. Yeah, this doesn't happen very often. Thank you for the compliment. Have a nice day. You know, those types of things. So that's kind of what was happening. That's a perfect example of from 100 to 200, what to expect. So let's jump into the next one.
But it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, sure. Well, how many husbands do you have?
Oh, husband.
Only one?
I just stayed through that.
I'm just teasing you. Yeah. What nationality are you? Filipino or?
He's a student in.
No, you. What are you?
I'm
What nationality are you?
Iran.
Oh, Iranian.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I won't bug you too much then, but hopefully I made your day. You're looking really good. So
Okay.
hopefully I made your day a little better. So have a good one. See you later.
you too.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another perfect example of 100 to 200. This open here is a little older than I thought. I was only opening 25 and under, but some of these girls like probably look closer to 30. But so with that girl, perfect. That's exactly the same thing. You'll notice my tone was approval seeking, is like, oh really? And then you can notice that I'm laughing in there to break the sexual tension, like, oh you have a husband. Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah. And also you'll notice in this interaction, the same as the last one, I did a joke, how many husbands do you have? And she was like, oh, only one. You know, like, I wasn't smiling. I wasn't coming off as joking. Like, I had the words right, but I didn't have the tone and the joke and the smirk right. So the last one, I was like, you were swiping right on Tinder, weren't you? Without the smile. And she's like, excuse me? And this one, exactly the same thing. And it was like, oh, how many husbands do you have? And she's like, oh, only one. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to joke, but they're taking my joke seriously, right? So I didn't have that calibrated yet. I did notice on this one too, though, that it was like, oh, the joke didn't land, you know, had to go back and be like, oh, is this joking? So those are kind of the things that I'm working on from 100 to 200. I have all that kind of stuff over and over and over again in my field reports, you know. At that one, I think that the Iranian girl was open 283 or something. And that one was, I was really struggling to, when a girl said, I have a boyfriend or I have a husband, to like be like, oh, how many husbands do you have? You know, to like kind of like diffuse it. And that's what I was practicing there. For whatever reason, that's like one of my major sticking points, was the boyfriend thing, pushing through that. And also like my jokes and my teases, they're not landing right, like they're coming off as serious. So I don't know if I could replicate how that might look, but it's like, oh, how many husbands do you have? You know, maybe it was like kind of that, like exaggerated of course, but like, how many husbands do you have? You know, like they think it was a legitimate question, opposed to, oh, how many husbands do you have? You know, like the smirk jokiness of it, you know, how many husbands do you have? You know, you're such a naughty girl, you know, like that kind of jokiness to land in their mind that I'm just joking, I'm just kidding around with you, you know, like that wasn't happening. I must have been serious, like, oh, how many husbands do you have? And then when it didn't land, then break the sexual tension by, oh, you know, like that's what it's doing, right? So very typical though, that one, from 100 to 200. That's kind of what you can expect. You know, people are going to talk to you. They're going to be pleasant to you for the most part. If they're like somewhat decent human beings, they're going to take the compliment. You'll kind of make their day, but it's not going to be like some massive like, whoa, he totally made my day. I'll just kind of be like, oh, it's interesting. It's kind of nice that he came and talked to me, but you know, it's kind of weird still. Like there was something there that was off, but still nice. It's a confusing stage, right? So you can see I'm starting to learn the model. I'm starting to get everything down. I'm going too fast a little bit still. I'm laughing to break sexual tension. My facial expressions and smirks aren't quite on to make the jokes land and the teases land. So that's pretty typical, 100 to 200. The last two videos that you saw, both of those, they're pretty typical of 100 to 200. That's what you can kind of expect. So let's jump into the next one.
So
Thank you.
I had to come over and say hello. You have a very open energy about you.
Thank you. That's very
Yes.
flattering, but I have a boyfriend.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I at least made your day. What's your little tattoo say?
It says all is full of love in Icelandic.
Oh, you don't look Icelandic to me.
I'm not Icelandic.
No. I have health is wealth on my arm in big.
Cool.
But I want to get a full sleeve one day, but I'm not that brave quite yet. So what are you up to?
I'm just about to meet my boyfriend. He's coming to pick
Are
me
you?
up.
So I better leave.
Thanks for the call.
Awesome. See you later.
Okay, so here's another typical interaction from 100 to 200. I think she's 293. She's a cute girl, this one. I remember her too, and I was intimidated by, how cute she was. She's kind of my type for sure. You'll notice I did the exact same thing on this one. I said, well, what are you up to right now? And you'll also notice I'm doing something without you. You're pretty much inviting her to say that. Same that 3 said, I think the first video we showed here, it was like, what are you up to right now? They left. This one, what are you up to right now? They left. That's just what happens when you say, what are you up to right now, before the hook point, before they ask a question or anything. She was pleasant though. She could tell my energy, when I went up to her, my energy must have been good. Typical interaction for 100 to 200. They're kind of happy to see you. They take the compliment, they appreciate it, they smile. You're kind of making their day a little bit better, not a lot better. You'll notice I laughed in there to break the sexual tension. Still, that was happening. And you'll also notice as soon as something went just a little bit off at all, I broke script, right, and just went into like kind of that friendly zone where it's kind of like as soon as she said something just a little bit off, instead of like sticking to my script and making some kind of assumption about her, about how she has really dark hair, maybe she's Norwegian. I know these were Norwegian girls, or whatever it was, to stay in the script. I didn't stay to any kind of model. It was just like a little bit of tension, throw the model out the window, start to chit chat like a normal friend would chit chat, right? So that's happening a lot too, especially with the hotter girls. You kind of, for whatever reason, your brain just throws the model out the window when you talk to a girl that's more hot than your average girl you've been talking to for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but most people I know, just all of a sudden they just chuck the model out the window and just, oh, maybe I should just talk to her, chit chat normally. I ask about her tattoo. Oh, what does your tattoo say? I had no business asking her a question. That's taking value. I ask her a question like a minute in, not even a minute in. It's like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Here's a compliment for you, and now let me take value from you and ask you about your tattoo. So that was a huge mistake, asking a question before she was hooked. So that she probably was like, oh yeah, you're not too good at this, but she was still happy. She's still pleasant. I still made her day a little bit better. What else can I say about that one? Yeah, that's kind of the tattoo thing, kind of did it. And I said, what are you up to right now? It was only like a 1.5-minute interaction. I have no business saying that. I should be telling stories, challenging her. You will notice though, I'm getting a little more comfortable challenging. I said in there, you don't look, I think it was Icelandic, her tattoo. She said her tattoo was Icelandic. Oh, you don't look Icelandic. At least I'm like starting to like feel comfortable challenging, so I think that built a little bit of attraction, but still that's pretty typical. 100 to 200, that's what you're going to expect. Just be glad you're over the first 100. You're starting to make some people's days. Average interaction length, minute and 15. 200 to 300, that'll be next. And I think you'll start to see some interactions like getting closer to the 2-minute, 2.5-minute mark. From 200 to 300, like I said, usually like 30 seconds. You can add like 30 to 45 seconds for every 100 sets you do, until you get up to that magic number. When you hit 7 minutes, you're starting to actually make some real inroads, right? So that was my experience from 100 to 200. I think I added like 47 seconds or something on, 45 seconds or something onto my average interaction time length from 100 to 200, which is, it's impressive. But when you're doing it, when you're going out that many times, just to add like an average of 40 seconds or 45 seconds, it seems like you're just never going to get there. So it's probably worth noting, it's worth noting that you're going to have these feelings from 100 to 200. You're going to be like, man, I've been going out so much and I'm still not getting interactions that are hooking. I'm still not getting interactions that are instigating. I'm still not getting laid. I'm still not getting any of this stuff that all the internet marketers have said I would be getting at this point. Nobody does. It's unless you're a prodigy or unless you're trying to bullshit somebody to get their money, you're not going to be getting laid. And I shouldn't say you're not going to. If you get laid, it's going to be a yes girl. It's going to be a fluke. You'll increase your time from 100 to 200. You'll increase it 45 seconds. That's good. That's what I did. You know, if you're better than me, which I hope you are, I honestly do. Maybe you can add a minute and a half from 100 to 200. That'd be awesome if you could do that. More power to you if you can. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. You know, you're gonna be getting good interactions. You'll have a few in those 10. I think that took me 13 times going out to get those 100. If you do 10 a day, in those 10 times, you're gonna have probably 4 of those times you feel great after your day game session, where you're just like, yeah, you know what, like I only got like no numbers or 1 number, but I made a lot of people's day, and I feel awesome right now. You're gonna have 4 sessions like that. You're gonna have 2 or 3 where after your session you're just gonna be like, what am I doing with my life? I'm 30 freaking however many years old, or 20 however many years old, or maybe you're 40 or 50 years old, and I'm spending more time in a mall than a 16-year-old girl. How did I end up here? You'll have a few days like that when you just have a bunch of sets that just go bad and your vibe's off or something. You're gonna have a few of those from 100 to 200, and you're gonna just be like, what am I doing? You know, but stick to it. Tom Torero says cold approach pickup, learning cold approach pickup is like a heart rate monitor that's just slightly going up. You know, it's not like a curve like this that goes up. It's not a J curve like some people say. It's like a heart rate monitor that slowly goes up over time. So you're going to have a few days, a few times from 100 to 200, a few sessions that were worse than from 0 to 100. That's going to happen. It's going to be maybe twice that you go out. That's going to be, you know, your maybe approaches, let's say 130 to 140 are going to be worse than approaches 20 to 30. You're going to have a couple of those. It's just the way it goes, right? So that's why I felt so passionate about making these videos, because man, it's a struggle if you think that you're supposed to get good in 3 days or a month or 3 months, and you've just completed 200 sets and your average interaction length is only a minute and 15 seconds. Boy, oh boy, that's tough. It's a struggle, and it feels like it's never going to get any better, but stick with it. It's slow progress. It's really slow progress, but you will get there, and it's a fun journey. So on those days where it just feels like you're just in a crappy phase and it's not working, and everybody didn't like you that day or whatever, you didn't get anybody's number, you didn't make anybody smile, when you have those days, that's part of the journey, man. That's what makes your skin thick enough to be attractive to women eventually, right? So it's part of it. It's 100 to 200. If I had to put a stamp on it, it would just be, the stamp would say you got to get thicker skin. You know, people can tell, for some reason, girls especially can tell how thick your skin is and how tough you are, and that's from 100 to 200. That's what it's doing. It's just, you used to kind of be a bit of a baby. You know, you used to be a bit of a baby going up to these girls, and they'd say something like, give you a look like that, or not talk or something, and you'd be like all hurt inside. Well, 100 to 200 is about thickening up that skin, boy. So you got to get thicker skin, and from 300 to 400, or 200 to 300, I guess is next. From 200 to 300, girls are going to start to notice that you got a little thicker skin, and that's attractive to them, right? So that's what you're going to learn in 100 to 200. It's going to be learning the model. It's going to be working on the first minute or two. It's going to be thickening up your skin. It's going to be getting repetitive and going out frequently down. It's going to be a lot of vibe management. It's going to be, you know, having a girl be quiet on you, give you a bad look, misinterpret your jokes, and you'll have to recover from that, from her robbing a couple points from your vibe. It's those types of things, but you'll add some time on to your time. You'll have some sets that are good. So stick with it and tune in to the next podcast where we're going to watch a few videos from me opening girls from 200 to 300 and see what we learned there. So subscribe and hit the little bell thing on YouTube here, and keep watching so that I know at least I'm helping somebody, so I can keep putting these videos out. And we'll see you on the next podcast. It's Frankie Ball's lifestyle vlog, and we'll see you on the next podcast where we watch videos and talk about what you should be learning and what you should expect from opening sets 200 to 300 in structured day game cold approach pickup.